Pluses for multiple harvests from one plant. Squash would be the next thing. It's a warm weather plant. Squash, zucchini. Profile, it does have a medium profile. You saw those plants in the earlier video. They weren't very low to the ground, but they weren't very high either. A little less than a tomato plant or a pepper plant. Concealability, I would give it a fair. It isn't great because it's the plant's so big, and sometimes the plant will shade, kind of hide the squash or the zucchini, but oftentimes it won't. Amongst some weeds and things like that, people might overlook it because again, it's an odd plant. It's not something you're used to seeing. If you're used to seeing a corn stalk, a pepper plant, a tomato plant, it's probably the most widely grown home garden type stuff. Concealability, so we give that a fair. Nutrient needs, or the ease of the growing of it, is very low. Very easy to grow squash and zucchini, more than you can usually handle. We end up giving probably half our crop to our rabbits and chickens and things like that. They love it. It's just, you don't go out and check on them every day. It seems like they go from this to that overnight. So seed saving, really easy with those as well too. The storage is kind of tough on squash and zucchini. It doesn't can up very well. You can grind it to a powder and do all this crazy stuff. Most of us aren't going to have time to do that. So it'd be a good midsummer crop, and that's what we use it for here. It's a good midsummer crop where pretty much nothing else grows. Everything starts dying off except sweet corn and squash this time of year when it's 98, 100 degrees. And finally, tomatoes. Tomatoes, as far as a profile, they have a medium profile. Some of your plants get to waist high or higher if you stake them. You can let them sprawl on the ground, but you will have more loss from the tomatoes. Concealability, I would put that as tough. Most people know what a tomato plant looks like, and of course, once they start turning red, the contrast with the red and the green, bam, anybody and their brother could pick out, hey, this is a tomato plant, even if you have it amongst weeds and such. Nutrient needs, or the ease of growing, I would say that's a medium. They will produce pretty much without any feeding in good soil, but they're not going to produce much. So I'd give that a medium as far as the ease of growing or the nutrient needs. Seed saving, really easy. Again, we can scoop the stuff out, separate the pulp and the seeds, dry the seeds out. It sounds simple because it is. We can make spreadsheets and charts from it, but there's no reason to do that. And then finally, the storage. Pretty easy to store. You can can them, you can dry them, dehydrate to a small extent. There's different things like that you can do with the tomatoes. Where are we at on time?
20 minutes.
Okay. All right. Well, so we looked at this time around in these couple of videos. We looked at different types of crops to grow. We looked at some of the different survival criteria versus normal everyday growing type stuff. We looked at how big of a profile the plant makes for concealability issues and such, how hard it was to hide the plant. We looked at the nutrient needs, or how easy it was to grow the plant, and the seed saving, how easy it was to save the seeds, the storage, and again, what are we getting per plant? Is it a multiple harvest, or is it this corn's going to sit in my garden for 90 days, suck up all the energy, suck up all the nutrients, suck up all the water, and produce one lousy corn stalk? For the Survival Report, I'm Robert Henry. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. One last epilogue here. Behind every good man, there's a good woman, and my good woman just had a good point here. Is in dealing with thinking about the concealability factor of some of these foods and such, as your average person, if they're not familiar with how some of this stuff looks growing, like pea plants. Squash plants, things like that. Like I said, I think everybody would recognize a pepper, a tomato, a stalk of corn growing. But some of these other things, they might think, especially if it's scattered amongst weeds and such, they might think, is this some weird wild plant? They might be afraid to eat it. There's so many stories, and it's kind of the general population thing that, you don't eat anything out in the woods because it'll all kill you, and all that good stuff. So that's a good factor there as well too, is if we stick away from those big three that everybody recognizes, and what I would suggest as well too is have your areas where you grow a normal garden, okay? You've seen some of the ones, you know, at our place and other people's places that we've taped at and such with the big stands of corn and fenced and the, you know, sprinklers and all that good stuff. But have smaller areas that are hidden as well. Number of reasons. I'll let your mind run on that. You know, but number of reasons to do that. You can go out in the middle of the woods, plant some asparagus, you know, keep a note of where it is. Guess what? If you ever run out of your house or something like that, or if you're ever forced to bug out and you don't have a place to go, you know, you can set up little guerrilla gardening zones in the woods. The Viet Cong did this during the Vietnam War, that have little hidden gardens and such like that. And there's no reason we can't copy that technique and even improve on it. Years ago when I had the shortwave show, I recommended folks that didn't have a bug out location or a retreat to go and set up stuff like this out in national forest or pack in, you know, small saplings from of fruit trees and such and get them growing. If nothing else, it's a good place to hunt. For the Survival Report, Robert Henry, I think we're done this time. Have a good day.